Bridgetown is the capital and largest city of the nation of Barbados. Formerly the town of Saint Michael, the Greater Bridgetown area is located within the parish of Saint Michael. Bridgetown is sometimes locally referred to as the city, but the most common reference is simply town. The Bridgetown port, found along Carlisle Bay, lies on the southwestern coast of the island. Parts of the Greater Bridgetown area sit close to the borders of the neighbouring parishes Christchurch and St. James. The Grantley Adams International Airport for Barbados is located 16 kilometres southeast of Bridgetown city centre, and has daily flights to major cities in the United Kingdom, United States, Canada and the Caribbean. While there is no longer a local municipal government, it is governed as a political constituency within the national parliament. During the short-lived 1950s-1960s Federation of the British West Indian Territories, Bridgetown was one of three capital cities within the region, being considered to be the federal capital of region. The present-day location of the city was established by English settlers in 1628 following a prior settlement under the authority of Sir William Curtin at St. Jamestown. Bridgetown is a major West Indies tourist destination, and the city acts as an important financial, informatics, convention centre, and cruise ship port of call in the Caribbean region. On the 25th of June 2011, historic Bridgetown and its garrison were added as a World Heritage Site of UNESCO. History. Although the island was totally abandoned or uninhabited when the British landed there, one of the few traces of indigenous pre-existence on the island was a primitive bridge constructed over the Careenage Areas swamp at the centre of Bridgetown. It was thought that this bridge was created by a people indigenous to the Caribbean known as the Arawa. Upon finding the structure, the British settlers began to call what is now the Bridgetown area Indian Bridge. Scholars widely believe that the Arawak were driven from Barbados to the neighbouring island of St. Lucia during an invasion by the Kalinagos, another indigenous people of the region. Eventually, after 1654, when a new bridge was constructed over the Careenage by the British, the area became known as the town of Saint Michael and later as Bridgetown. Bridgetown is the only city outside the present United States that George Washington visited. Two of Washington's ancestors, Jonathan and Gerard Hortain, were early planters on the island. Their grandmother was Mary Washington of Sulgrave, Northamptonshire, England. In 2011, historic buildings in Bridgetown were designated as a protected area by UNESCO. Early settlement. English settlement of Bridgetown began on the 5th of July 1628 under Charles Wolverstone, who brought with him 64 settlers to these lands formerly claimed by James Hay, the Earl of Carlisle. Wolverstone had been dispatched by a group of London merchants, headed by Sir Marmaduke Rawdon. The group had been granted a lease to 10,000 acres of land area by the Earl of Carlisle in settlement of debts. Each of the settlers with Wolverstone were granted by him 100 acres of land, lying on the northern side of the Careenage waterway for the purpose of general settlement. The southern shore on Needham's Point were claimed by Carlisle's agents that coming October, and in 1631, many acres of land directly facing Carlisle Bay were passed to Henry Hawley, the new governor. Reports of dishonest behaviour about this governor led to his arrest and rendition to England in 1639. After investigation by commission in 1640, it was found that much of Hawley's land transactions were legitimate and properly showed these lands as being attributed to the Earl of Carlisle. Bridgetown was built upon a street layout resembling early English medieval market towns with its narrow serpentine street and alley configuration. Boundaries. The earliest boundaries of Bridgetown are contained by way of an Act passed on the 4th of April 1660 called "to prevent the danger which may happen by fire, in or about any of the seaport towns of the island." The southern limit was declared to be the river, whilst the western limit was declared to be the western boundary of Saint Michael's churchyard, and extending in a direct line to the seaside. The town's other limits consisted of properties of certain citizens' names in this statute, the location of which cannot now be determined with certainty. The boundaries were not redefined until 1822. From town to city in 1824, Barbados became the seat of the Anglican Diocese of Barbados and the Leeward Islands. Due to this, the St. Michael's Parish Church became raised to the status of cathedral. In so doing, the elevation meant that thereafter Bridgetown would be conferred with city status. In 1842, royal letters patent under which Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent, and St. Lucia were split into separate dioceses decreed that henceforth the town of Bridgetown should be called the city of Bridgetown. From 1800 until 1885, Bridgetown served as the main seat of government for the former British colonies of the Windward Islands. During this period, the resident governor of Barbados also served as the colonial head of the Windward Islands. After the government of Barbados officially exited from the Windward Island Union in 1885, the seat was moved from Bridgetown to St. George's on the neighbouring island of Grenada. In December 1925, a committee sought to petition the King for a royal charter of incorporation to devise local government in the city. The plan stated the desire for Bridgetown to be run by a mayor, 8 aldermen, 12 common councillors, a town clerk, a head borough, a chief constable, and such other officers as would be deemed necessary. It was proposed that the island's House of Assembly should seek to incorporate the city instead of utilizing royal charter. It was not until 1958 when the Local Government Act was passed in Barbados. Within the Act, called for separate administration for the city. The Act called for a mayor, 6 city aldermen, and 12 city councillors, of which 4 serve each of the 3 wards in the city. On the 20th of September 1960, a grant of arms was conferred upon the city as the College of Arms in London. The armorial bearings for the city of Bridgetown were designed by the late Neville Connell, the then director of the Barbados Museum and Historical Society, along with H.W. Ince, the honorary secretary of the society. Local government in Barbados was established, but not for long. In April 1967, the system of local government councils was dissolved and replaced by an interim commissioner for local government. The Corporation of Bridgetown thus ceased to exist, and its records and paraphernalia were deposited in both the Government Department of Archives and Barbados Museum and Historical Society. Today, Bridgetown and surrounding constituencies are administered by members of Barbadian Parliament. Geography and climate. Geography. The city of Bridgetown, and the wider Greater Bridgetown area occupy most of the parish of St. Michael, an area which covers around 39 square kilometers. Bridgetown's centre was originally composed of a swamp, which was quickly drained and filled in to make way for the city's early development. At the heart of Bridgetown is the Carinage and Constitution River. This body of water provides the city with direct access from medium-sized yachts or small craft boats. Although moderately shallow, the Carinage slices Bridgetown into 2 parts. During the rainy season, the Constitution River flows into the Carinage area and acts as an outflow for water from the island's interior storm drainage network, flowing into the Carlisle Bay on the southwest coast of the island. The Carinage can be observed as a marina for boaters entering or exiting the inner basin located directly in front of the Parliament buildings of Barbados. Climate. Bridgetown features a tropical wet and dry climate, with relatively constant temperatures throughout the course of the year. While fairly hot, Bridgetown is cooled somewhat by the trade winds that affect weather in Barbados in general. Bridgetown's record high of 35 5 degrees Celsius and record low of 16 degrees Celsius. Bridgetown features distinct wet and dry seasons, with a relatively lengthy wet season and a shorter dry season. Its wet season is from June through January, while the dry season covers the remaining months. The city. In the center lies the main street of Bridgetown, which is Broad Street, which runs directly through the center of the city. Broad Street passes the Parliament buildings and serves as the center of city's shopping area. Another major traffic artery into the city is Bay Street and leads toward the south coast of Barbados and the parish of Christchurch. There are also other notable streets in Bridgetown, including Swan Street, which is parallel to Broad Street to the north, Roebuck Street, which leads towards Queen's Park to the north and east of Swan Street, and Tudor Street, which comes from the north, intersects Swan Street and runs perpendicular to Broad Street. The Spring Garden Highway, which lies to the west of the city, plays host to over 85,000 bystanders and participants in the annual Grand Kadooment Carnival Parade. Neighborhoods: Belleville, Cat's Castle, Cheapside, Fontable, Gardenland, New Orleans, Vinelands, Strathclyde, Weymouth, White Park. Landmarks: Points of Interest: National Heroes Square and Fountain Garden, Independence Square and the Independence Arch, the Montefiore Fountain, Parliament Buildings of Barbados, the Cathedral Church of Saint Michael and All Angels, the St. Mary's Anglican Church, the St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral, the Jewish Synagogue, the Pelican Village and Craft Center, Queen's Park, the Lord Nelson Statue, the Barbados Museum, Kensington Oval, Carlisle Bay Beach, Cheapside Market, the Tom Adams Financial Complex, the Frank Collymore Hall of the Performing Arts, the Cathedral Plaza, the Cave Shepherd Department Store, the Mutual Building, the Cheapside Gardens, Sagicor Plaza, the Garrison Savannah and National Historic Area, the Hilton Hotel, Martineau House, Pierhead Development Complex, Harbor. The Bridgetown Port is the major port of entry for cruise and cargo ships docking in Barbados. The deep water harbor lies a short distance across Carlisle Bay northwest of the Careenage Canal, found along the Princess Alice Highway, and west of the city's center around Fontable. The harbor port acts as one of the major shipping and transshipment hubs from international locations for the entire Eastern Caribbean. Recently, the Bridgetown port was dredged to allow safe access and berthing for the new Ligo of supercruise ships. The dredging project was completed in 2002 and the city can now host many of the largest cruise ships in the world. The Port of Bridgetown also handles goods for the domestic needs of the island. The island's main exports of mainly agricultural products also make use of the harbor facilities. Bridgetown also has a smaller canal in the center of the city, named the Careenage aka Constitution River. The Constitution River should not be confused with the Deepwater Harbor. The smaller Constitution River feeding into the west coast lies about a half-kilometer south of the large harbor. The Careenage is just large enough for pleasure craft or fishing boats and has two main bridges near the city center which span the shallow Careenage. Society and culture. Bridgetown serves as a principal center of commercial activity in Barbados, as well as a central hub for the island's public transport system. Many of the ministries and departments of the island's government are located within the Greater Bridgetown area. The public buildings of Parliament, which stand at the heart of the city directly north of Heroes Square, house the third oldest continuous parliament in the British Commonwealth. well. Indeed, at one point in the city's early history, Bridgetown was the most important city of all British possessions in the New World due to the city's easterly location in the Caribbean region. The headquarters of the National Library Service of Barbados is located in Bridgetown. The main branch is found on Coleridge Street in a coral stone building, built in the style of the English Renaissance. For a city of its size, the Greater Bridgetown area is home to several prestigious educational institutions. The city serves as the seat of one of the three campuses of the University of the West Indies in the northern suburb of Cave Hill. The campus sits on a bluff offering a spectacular view of Bridgetown and its port. The Barbados Community College is located 3 miles east of the central business district in a suburb known as the Ivy, while the sprawling campus of the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic is located just beyond the eastern limits of the city in a suburb known as the Pine. In addition, the city houses such distinguished secondary schools as Harrison College, Combermere and the Saint Michael School. The city of Bridgetown also played host to the 1994 United Nations Global Conference on Sustainable Development of Small Island States. Bridgetown has branches of some of the largest banks in the world and English-speaking Caribbean, and is internationally recognized as an emerging financial domicile. The city underwent considerable redevelopment in preparation for the 2007 World Cricket Cup finals held at the historic Kensington Oval. The stadium was renovated to a state-of-the-art sports facility accommodating 30,000 spectators. Live viewership for the 2007 event was estimated to be over 100 million people worldwide. Utilities and local services. Today, Bridgetown is a fully modern and thriving city, with access to many modern services including a piped water supply, electricity, natural gas supply, cutting-edge telecommunications, wireless services, internet cafes, and a good overall infrastructure. The city is also served by an impressive conference facility known as the Sherborne Conference Centre. Electricity. Barbados Light and Power Company Limited. Natural gas. National Petroleum Corporation. Water. Barbados Water Authority. Telecommunications. Digicel, Flow, and WIISCOM. Television. CBC TV8, MultiChoice TV, and DirecTV. Radio. List of radio stations in Barbados. Barbadian media. Economy. Barbados's main exports are sugar, rum, and molasses. The island is also involved in other industries, namely tourism and the offshore sector. The airline RedJet has its head office at Grantley Adams International Airport in Christchurch, near Bridgetown. Stock Exchange. Barbados Stock Exchange. The city of Bridgetown also has a well-regulated stock exchange with securities of Barbadian and regional Caribbean companies. Business specifics. Business banks are open 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. hours, Monday to Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Fridays. The main banks are Barclays Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia, Barbados National Bank, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, RBTT Bank and Royal Bank of Canada. Automatic teller machines are available. Shops are open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. noon Saturdays. Payment cards are widely accepted. Electricity, 115 volts AC, 50 cycles. Most hotels have 220 AC. Telecommunications. The international dialing code for Barbados is 1 to 246, followed by 7 digits. On the island, use the 7 digits alone. When on the island, to call anywhere in the United States or Canada, simply dial 1++7-digit phone number. Emergency numbers. Police, 211 Fire, 311 Ambulance, 511 Coast Guard and Defense Force. Time. Transportation. The city has access to daily flights via the island's airport, the Sir Grantley Adams International Airport, located on the ABC Highway, Highway 7 in Sewell, Christchurch. The city of Bridgetown and New York City in the United States were the only cities in the Western Hemisphere to be served by regularly scheduled British Airways Concorde flights. Additionally, the GAA has been chosen as one of only 4 global display sites for the retired supersonic aircraft. The airport is currently in the final stages of an expansion project, which will also include the construction of an aviation museum to house the retired Concorde aircraft. All 7 of Barbados's primary highways begin close to the city of Bridgetown, in the parish of Saint Michael. They all fan out to the north, south and east to other parts of the island. Driving is done at the left-hand side of the road with a speed limit of 60 km/h in built-up areas. The speed limit on the ABC Highway is generally 80 km/h except in built-up areas. Water transport is regulated by the Barbados Port Authority. Public buses that head northward to destinations such as Hulltown and Speightstown, and to some locations in Saint Michael including the University of the West Indies, leave from the Princess Alice bus terminal, which lies to the west of the city centre. Buses for points east and south leave from the Fairchild Street bus terminal, which is on the eastern edge of the city centre, near to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Route taxis are privately owned minivans which operate as taxi cabs for hire. Diplomatic missions in Barbados. Twin and sister cities. Bridgetown is twinned or is a sister city with the following cities: Bridgetown, Nova Scotia, Canada; Borough of Hackney, London, England; Wilmington, North Carolina, USA. Notable people: Rihanna, singer, songwriter; Orlando Green, Olympic runner.